In the annals of World War II, few symbols stand as iconic as the B-17 Flying Fortress. This mighty bomber played a crucial role in the Allied efforts to cripple the industrial heart of Nazi Germany. For the young men who flew these planes, the war in the skies was a brutal and unforgiving battle, one that demanded not only courage but also extraordinary skill and teamwork. The B-17 was a marvel of engineering for its time. Its robust design allowed it to sustain significant damage and still return home. But its true strength lay in its armament. Bristling with .50 caliber machine guns, the B-17 was a formidable opponent for any enemy fighter. Yet, it was the gunners who manned these guns, young men who often found themselves in the crosshairs of the Luftwaffe, who turned the B-17 into a flying fortress. Welcome back to Harold's channel. Before we dive into today's story, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to support our team. Each B-17 carried a crew of 10, with gunners positioned at various points around the plane, in the nose, the tail, the waist, and the top and bottom turrets. These gunners were responsible for protecting the bomber from enemy aircraft. It was a job that required constant vigilance, quick reflexes, and unyielding nerve. The ball turret, perhaps the most claustrophobic position, was a small sphere of plexiglass and metal suspended beneath the aircraft. Here, gunners like Sergeant James "Jimmy" Edwards contorted their bodies into the cramped space, peering out into the vast sky, ever watchful for the glint of enemy planes. The view from the ball turret was unparalleled, offering a 360-degree field of vision. But it also made the gunner feel incredibly isolated, cut off from the rest of the crew, alone in the belly of the beast. One of the most harrowing missions undertaken by B-17 crews was the raid on Schweinfurt, a critical target due to its ball-bearing factories, essential for the German war machine. On October 14, 1943, Jimmy Edwards and his crew aboard the Sky Warrior were part of a massive bombing raid aimed at crippling this industrial hub. This mission would become known as Black Thursday due to the staggering losses the Allies suffered. As Sky Warrior neared its target, the formation encountered a wall of anti-aircraft fire. Flak exploded around them, sending shrapnel tearing through the skies. The plane shuddered with each near miss, and the noise was deafening. Jimmy, in his ball turret, felt each concussion reverberate through the aircraft's frame. Suddenly, a squadron of German fighters swooped in, exploiting the chaos. These sleek Messerschmitts and Focke-Wulfs dove through the bomber formation, guns blazing. Jimmy spotted two fighters, angling for an attack on Sky Warrior. With a mixture of fear and determination, he swung his turret around, tracking the enemy planes. As they closed in, he squeezed the triggers of his twin .50 calibers, sending a stream of tracer rounds into the sky. The first fighter took hits, veering off and trailing smoke, but it was the second that Jimmy focused on. His bullets stitched a line across its fuselage, and the plane exploded in a fireball. The victory was fleeting, however, as more fighters closed in. For what felt like hours, but was only minutes, Jimmy and the other gunners fought desperately to protect their bomber. By the end of the raid, the skies were littered with the wreckage of B-17s and German fighters alike. Sky Warrior limped back to base, riddled with holes but still airborne. The crew's survival was a testament to their skill and bravery, especially the gunners who had fended off relentless attacks. Despite their critical role in defending the bombers, B-17 gunners did not receive individual credit for shooting down enemy aircraft. This policy was instituted by the USAAF to foster a sense of teamwork and collective effort among the bomber crews. The philosophy was that each man was part of a larger whole, and their success depended on working together rather than seeking individual glory. This policy had practical reasons as well. In the heat of battle, with multiple gunners firing at attacking aircraft, it was often impossible to determine whose bullets actually brought down an enemy plane. The defensive box formation used by the B-17s meant that several bombers could be firing at the same target simultaneously. This collective effort was crucial to their survival, but made individual recognition difficult. While official credit was not given, many gunners kept unofficial tallies of the planes they shot down. These counts, although not formally recognized, were a source of pride and morale. Within the crews, these unofficial tallies were often acknowledged, and gunners who demonstrated exceptional skill and bravery earned the respect and admiration of their peers. John Quinlan, the tail gunner on the famous B-17 Memphis Belle, was one such gunner. Quinlan had an unofficial tally of 8 enemy fighters destroyed, 5 over Europe and 3 over Japan, while serving on a B-29. Although he did not receive official ace status, his achievements were well recognized among his fellow airmen. Benjamin Warner, a waist gunner, was another distinguished B-17 gunner. On July 5, 1943, Warner shot down 7 German fighters during a single bombing mission, a remarkable feat for which he was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross. By the end of the war, Warner had destroyed 9 enemy planes, making him one of the few gunners to receive significant official recognition. Perhaps the most successful B-17 gunner was MSGT Michael Aruth, a tail gunner on the B-17 Tondelayo. Aruth shot down 17 enemy aircraft during just 14 missions, including 4 during the infamous Schweinfurt raid. Despite severe damage to his aircraft and personal injuries, Aruth's bravery and skill in combat earned him the Distinguished Service Cross. His record is considered one of the greatest in Air Force history, with estimates suggesting he may have downed more than 20 enemy aircraft. The Schweinfurt raid exemplified the perilous nature of the air war over Europe. The mission aimed to cripple Germany's ball-bearing production, which was vital to their war effort. The raid faced intense opposition from flak batteries and German fighters, resulting in one of the highest casualty rates for any bombing mission of the war. Michael Aruth's actions during the Schweinfurt raid highlight the extraordinary bravery of B-17 gunners. As Tondelayo approached the target, it was hit by flak, damaging the tail section and wounding Aruth. Despite his injuries, he continued to man his guns, shooting down 4 enemy planes during the mission. His determination and skill not only protected his crew, but also contributed significantly to the mission's overall success. The return journey was equally harrowing. With their aircraft severely damaged, the crew of Tondelayo faced a desperate struggle to reach friendly territory. The oxygen system was partially functional, and Aruth's injuries were severe. Yet, his efforts in repairing his jammed gun and continuing to fight off enemy attackers played a crucial role in their survival. The crew eventually ditched their aircraft in the English Channel, where they were rescued by Allied forces. The stories of these gunners are not just about their feats in combat, but also about the human element of war. These young men, often in their late teens or early 20s, were thrust into situations of extreme danger and stress. The camaraderie and bonds they formed with their fellow crew members were vital to their survival. For Jimmy Edwards, the friendships he made during the war were lifelong. The shared experiences of danger, loss, and survival forged bonds stronger than steel. After the war, Jimmy stayed in touch with many of his crewmates. They would gather at reunions, reminiscing about their time in the skies over Europe. These gatherings were not just about recounting old war stories, but also about honoring the memory of those who did not return. One such memory that haunted Jimmy was the loss of his friend and fellow gunner, Tommy Parker. During a mission over Berlin, Tommy's plane was hit by flak and went down in flames. Jimmy watched in helpless horror as the aircraft spiraled out of control, knowing that his friend had little chance of survival. The grief and guilt of surviving when so many did not was a burden that many veterans carried with them long after the war ended. While the USAAF's policy did not officially credit individual bomber gunners with kills, the bravery and skill of gunners like Jimmy Edwards, John Quinlan, Benjamin Warner, and Michael Aruth were undeniable. Their actions played crucial roles in the success of the bombing missions over Europe, and their unofficial tallies of enemy aircraft shot down stand as a testament to their courage and effectiveness in combat. Michael Aruth's exceptional service and bravery were honored in several ways. In 1958, he was selected as a pallbearer at the ceremonies for the burial of the unknown soldier of World War II at Arlington National Cemetery. This honor highlighted his contributions and the high regard in which he was held. Aruth passed away in February 1990 at the age of 70, and a tribute to his service was read into the congressional record by Massachusetts Senator Richard Neal, ensuring that his legacy would be remembered. As the war drew to a close, the role of the B-17 Gunners continued to be a vital one. The relentless bombing campaigns over Germany and the occupied territories were instrumental in weakening the Nazi war machine, paving the way for the eventual Allied victory. The gunners' unwavering dedication and bravery under fire were crucial to the success of these missions. For many of these gunners, returning to civilian life after the war was a challenging transition. The experiences of combat and the loss of comrades left deep scars. However, the skills and discipline they had developed during the war served them well in their post-war lives. Many went on to lead successful careers, their wartime experiences shaping their character and resilience. Jimmy Edwards, like many of his fellow veterans, found solace in the company of those who had shared the same experiences. The reunions and veteran organizations provided a support network, helping them to cope with the memories of war. For Jimmy, these gatherings were a way to honor the memory of those who had not made it back, and to celebrate the bonds of brotherhood that had sustained them during the darkest days of the conflict.